Okay, so welcome to week 14. You only have 2 weeks left, so that's awesome, right? You just got off of Thanksgiving break. Or if this is in the future, you may, probably somewhere around there. It's somewhere around Thanksgiving break. Let's see. So, let's see. Can you see my screen? Yeah, cool. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to replace this video with the video you're currently watching, so you will never see this video again. First things first, take a look at the multimodal the presentation rubric. So that's what's going to need to be done at the end of the semester. Very last thing kind of to turn in is going to be the presentation, and this is basically how we're going to grade it. There's 10 criteria at 5 points apiece, so you got a total of 50 points. Of course, I'll double that to make it 100% even. That'll be worth like 25% of your grade, so make sure you put some effort into this one. Let's see. It's coming up here, hopefully. Oh, it's already come up. Just downloading. I have this on flash drive. I guess I could have just pulled that up. Oh, here we are. Put it on the screen. All right, so you have 10 pieces at 5 points apiece. Here, I'll just kind of go through the criteria real quick. Basically, nobody really gets a 0 unless you completely left it out. So the student clearly explains the problem. Basically, what I want you to do is summarize. Go through your web-based media, but in that web-based media, your essay should be summarized. Like all parts of your essay should be summarized within the web-based media somewhere. So if you used, I don't know, maybe a website, there should be one page of your website dedicated to basically the literature review, outlining the problem, and then another page that outlines the actual solution that you're proposing, and then another page that outlines the evidence you have there. So basically, as long as you clearly outline the problem, you prove to your audience that a problem actually exists, then you're going to get a 5 on this. And remember, this is part of the presentation. So while it's on the web-based media or it's in your essay, you need to verbalize it whenever you give your presentations. Well, I would just start off by saying, here's a problem that exists in society, and this is why it's a problem, and here's some evidence that proves it exists. Let's see. So students present the solution. After you presented and prove the problem exists, present us with a solution. Explain explain all parts of that solution. So if your problem has multiple parts to it, maybe say something like racism. How does your solution address all parts of that problem? And then of course down here, make sure you explain the benefits of implementing these solutions or this solution. Now this is one that's a little tricky because you didn't necessarily have to do it in your essay, and it's one that's a little bit easier to address whenever we're actually in person. My in-person classes, they wait till the end, and then someone usually asks a question that would kind of give them an opposing view, and then they just answer it. But what it's talking about when it says opposing views is think about if someone's going to oppose your solution, what's something that they might say? And you should address that. Since you guys are making videos, it's more difficult to address it in a video. Just make sure that you talk about it. That's really all you have to do. If we're in person, normally what I would do is I would just have you answer questions at the end, but obviously I won't be there to ask you questions, so that's not going to work. So just somewhere in your video, address that. Make sure the visual is meaningful and relevant. The thing about this is just make sure that your web-based media fits your solution. So think about it like this. If your solution is if your problem is social media and your solution is to get people off of social media, then you probably shouldn't use social media to market your solution, right? Granted, there's some argument to be made that, okay, that's where I would find my audience because I want the people on social media to stop using it, but you'd really have to kind of make that argument. And so that might get more complicated than it's worth. It might be easier to just stay away from social media if that's what your problem is. Not saying that social media is bad, but if social media doesn't mesh with your problem or your solution, then don't use social media. Maybe use YouTube, or maybe use a website, or maybe a petition. Just like, for instance, if you're trying to get a law changed, it really doesn't make too much difference for you to make a website, because a website isn't going to necessarily help you to get a law changed. It would be more effective to go to a petition site. The student supports his argument with research. The easiest way to do that is just kind of go through your Works Cited page at the end of the presentation. Just say, here's my sources, here are my sources, here's where I got the information, and this source said this source said this. You know, go through your Works Cited page. The student reaches an effective number of readers of the visual. That one's kind of goes back to the other one where it was talking about it being meaningful and relevant. But effective numbers would basically be, you know, if it's online, and as long as you've promote, like say you did a Facebook page, if you promote it via a Facebook page, it's going to reach a good amount of people, and if you have a couple likes here and there, or maybe people subscribing, things like that, then you're going to help your case there. Just you have to basically prove these things to me. The visual is appealing, engaging, and error-free. That's just talking about revision and editing. Make sure you didn't well, mostly just editing. Make sure you didn't misspell anything. Make sure everything's, you know, up to speed. That if you were going to turn it in as an essay format, and I was going to go through and grade it for spelling, grammar, and punctuation, that's what I'd look for here. Well, here actually. The next one provides enough information to accurately describe the proposal. Basically, am I left with questions? So up here you tell us about the benefits of the solution, but here it's basically asking, how can we support you? At the end of the day, you want your viewers or your audience to be able to say, okay, I know exactly what I need to do to support this guy or girl. I'm going to go do it, or I won't. You know, it's up to them. But the point being here is that if they don't know how to support you, then they're not going to be able to. And so this is, how well do you tell us how to support you, whether that be to subscribe to your page, to join your Facebook group, whatever it might be. Make sure that's easy, or make sure you explain it. And the presentation style, that's pretty self-explanatory. Do you look at the camera, or are you just like looking all over the place most of the time? So make sure you're at least looking at the camera, or at least looking in the general direction. I mean, like right now I'm actually not looking at the camera, I'm looking, you know, about 6 inches below. You can't really tell too much, but anyways, that's what we're talking about. It's a little easier with a camera because you can actually go back and cut and edit everything to make it look like you never broke eye contact the entire time and just make it seem really awkward. Sure, go for it. The length of the presentation is approximately 5 minutes, and so basically the way that works is if you're within the 5-minute mark, you get 5. If you're short, then you get 4. If you're within the 4-minute mark, you get 4. If you're within the 3-minute mark, you get 3. That's, you know, 3 minutes to 3 minutes and 59 seconds. If you're between 2 minutes and 2 minutes and 59 seconds, it's here. If you're less than 2 minutes, then that's technically 0 because it's supposed to be a 5-minute presentation. If you're within 4 to 4:59 here, then you get 4 points. So that's how I'm going to grade that. The next part, the XSplit Broadcaster, that's what I use here. And so these videos kind of, well, give you a download for it and then also explain to you how to use it. You can use any video recording software you want. It just has to be able to record the background of your screen so that I can see it. And then also I need to be able to see you too. So as long as it does that, you can use whatever you want. I just know that XSplit works, and that's what I use every week, and so that's what I use. When you're ready to submit, you'll submit it here, the multimodal presentation. Submit it here, and this is a discussion board, so everyone's going to be able to see it, and that's kind of the point, is that everyone can view it. The peer review questions also, because it's the week where we do rough drafts, and so you have to provide 5 pieces of feedback to, let's see, since you have the presentation due this week, okay, I was going to say it was originally supposed to be 3 peers, but just 2 peers. So provide feedback to 2 peers this week, and that's kind of like last time. Or like I said, originally it was supposed to be 3, but I realize you guys have a lot of work to do already, so let's just do 2. And that's what it says on here anyways, but just make sure that you're providing 5 pieces of constructive feedback, and that means that you're giving them 5 suggestions. So 2 people, give each of them 5 suggestions on ways to make their essay better. I do read those, so make sure that you're giving those, because if I struggle to figure out what is it that you're actually suggesting, then most of the time I take off points. So make sure you're checking that, and make sure you're doing that. Those are due by the end of week 14, and only one more week after this, so congratulations. And I will see you then.